It is a beautiful snowy morning here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm in my kitchen above my workshop with a fresh thermos of coffee, fresh brewed, fresh poured, and as I look out the window, I see sunshine and I see blue skies. There you go, you can see as well. And that is very pleasant. I think that, I see that Sam Cook is on, and I am glad to see you, my friend. I never know, what I'm going to be discussing with you, my friends, and my frenemies and my enemies. Dear listener, dear watcher, good morning, Scott George. I never know, but so in the morning, Sean Hackett, what's up, man? How's the weather over in Texas? This morning, it just loaded up. I have lots to discuss. Later on today, I'm going to do a comparison between Sandrite and Grizzly sanding machines. It's not going to be what you might expect. It will not be an authoritative analysis. It's going to be an anecdotal analysis that I hope, look at, there's a wild hare. I hope that analysis will be helpful. It probably, Colorado. I thought Sean Hackett was in. Sorry, man. Sorry about that. It's another Hackett. Well, anyway, Sean, thanks for being here. Michael Gage, thank you for that. Love you too, buddy. So later today, I'll be doing another video about Sanders. I'm really happy also to see Eric Sanders on here because that's a pun and it works really well. It won't be the kind of, I think we'll have fun with that. But this morning I'm going to pick one. I have a feed full of, I've been snapping screen grabs of things to discuss. We've got some current events. Oh, good. You are the same Sean Hackett that I knew from Austin, Texas. You moved to Colorado from Austin, and I should have known that because I follow folks on Facebook to some extent, but I have a hidden benefit, and the hidden benefit in my life compromises my ability to track a lot of stuff like you might expect me to. That hidden benefit is I have real people around me all the time. I have my virtual life with you where we get to discuss ideas, and I'm having trouble getting through the door because I have a package I received in the mail I want to discuss, and it will be an ongoing discussion. I'll turn on this light and hopefully I'll get a little bit of light on the way down. And now we're entering the basement workshop. I have a chair that I've been supposed to repair. I got a number of dining room chairs off this beautiful Danish design dining room set that I have enjoyed so well for so long. And I think it was my first live feed in this kind of series. We're in sort of a series. This is the beginning of likely a long time of live feeding and working up, because I am enjoying connecting with my listeners and my viewers this way. This is very, very encouraging and life-giving to me to be able to contribute my voice and my face to a movement of board makers that is rising in the country and is... I just feel like I'm riding a good wave here. So, very happy about that. It is not terribly cold in my workshop. This house is 120-something years old. And it's a pretty drafty house. Down around my knee level, there's some cold air. But these pipes are my hydronic heating pipes. And this one here is... Well, you know what? They're not even that warm. My heater's not even working that hard right now. But if I had my druthers, I would go through this house and I would install a whole bunch of insulation. And it could happen. I'm starting to feel that froggy feeling. But this morning we're going to talk about something that we call gatekeeping. And I'm part of different groups on social media, and I'm part of different conversations in real life. And, you might hear me talking about gatekeeping and think, oh, that's because of this place where this morning a whole bunch of talk about gatekeeping came up. Yes and no. I have been on a constant discussion about gatekeeping in skateboarding. And by gatekeeping, let's define the term. Gatekeeping is, some people will say, XYZ thing is when someone, that's not a really good definition, but gatekeeping is the activity of discriminating between insider, outsider, member, non-member delineations. Discriminating between insider, outsider delineations. And some of you can remember a little while ago I did a thing about open set skateboarding where, and I don't want to go over that whole thing again, but I want to affirm that gatekeeping it's not just necessary, it's also not necessarily evil. So some people said, I just wish there weren't any gatekeepers. And I thought, well, no, you know how I say everyone is a wannabe, choose who you want to be? And I say everyone's a groupie, just pick your group wisely. Choose who you want to be wisely, pick your group wisely. Well, not everyone is a gatekeeper. Gatekeepership is a leadership thing, and leadership exists. It's real. It's as real as influence is real. And if you wish for a world with no leaders, you work toward one, that can be a very good thing where you want to have an anarchic kind of thing. The problem is that leadership seems to just rise. Whether we view that as a defect in our nature, leadership seems to rise out of our nature. And gatekeeping is a leadership function in which delineations of insider, outsider standards are discussed. So in skateboarding, when we hear the word gatekeeper, a lot of times we think of the classic, it's kind of a 90s era, cool guy, come correct or don't come at all is a way that it's been put before that I think is a perfect way to say it. The gatekeepers of the 1990s have a trick performance-based hierarchical meritocracy. Okay. Skip Engblom of the Dogtown Z-Boys Zephyr Shop era. He was a strong gatekeeper, and he said if your style stinks, you're out. He had a stylistic, not so much a technical, but a stylistic approach to gatekeeping that was very successful at branding a style as legitimate. Gatekeeping is not just about inside outside, it's about illegitimate and legitimate. It's a legitimacy test, and the thresholds of legitimacy will and so we see gatekeeping is a thing there, but gatekeeping is also present in, I run the Makers Movement and I keep the gates there. And my gatekeeping in the Makers Movement is, look, if you're not making skateboards and you don't have anything to show, the gate is closed to you. You're able to read, you're able to comment, I believe. I still am working with the tech. You're able to message and ask questions, but you're not able to post things on the Makers Movement if you're not, to my standards, fulfilling the trajectory of a board maker. That's gatekeeping. I keep gates there. Anyone who I haven't had to kick anyone out for being combative. We have had a few tense conversations. I don't tend to mind that things get tense because we learn when we fight, and that's a good, healthy thing. But we have had people that left because we wouldn't affirm or yield to certain reasonings, and they were, and that's okay too. All that's good. I keep gates in the makers movement. That's where I keep gates. On my personal Facebook page, I'm a gatekeeper here. And in my backyard, I'm a gatekeeper there. I'm also an accomplished session heckler. I absolutely love to heckle. My heckling, however, is oriented around exposing disempowering ideas that choke up the session and encouraging people to stop taking themselves or their skateboarding too seriously. So I'm sort of maybe an anti-heckler. I tend to pick out the kid who's taking it too seriously and acting classic. You'll see me do this if you skate with me, and we've got one. I get a young kid who throws his board every time he doesn't make a trick, and I'll wind up almost invariably saying, hey, buddy, we all know that you never make that trick. You don't have to act like you make it every time you don't make it. We know you don't make the trick, all right? Relax, take a deep breath, put a smile on your face, and do a frontside grind, go fast, shake it out. But the thing I'm usually asking that young person to shake out is a lifetime of inferiority-based thinking that is ground in. That you could be addressing a person with an abusive family. You could be addressing a person with a problem with self-harm, with suicidal ideation. So it's important when I heckle, in my mind, to make that connection. I've had those young people get very angry at me, and it's important for me to connect with that in a reconciliatory way. So you may have been with me when I said, "Oh, you're angry at me. You go get your brothers and your cousins and have them come here and kick my ass. That's all good." You may have been there. I know it happened in Tampa one time with a good group of people. Gatekeeping within a certain group, circle, page, workplace, home, boundaries, etc. is totally different. I'm reading a comment here, and this is why I love them, than saying that skateboarding as a whole needs gatekeepers. And yes, heckling is good medicine, can be good medicine, just like gatekeeping can be good medicine. There are people who are unwelcome to skate at my house and with whom I will not skate. There are behaviors I will not accept. But the assertion that skateboarding needs gatekeepers made by people who have mass influence, who are able to say that with impunity, is not going anywhere. We're never not going to have a bunch of Billy badasses who think they own skateboarding and who think they're the mayor of something because they got there first, or they did it best, or they were there when, that's got there first. We're never not going to have this because skateboarding has such a long and storied outlaw culture in its development. I don't think we're ever going to lack for a bunch of gatekeepers, and they're going to call people kooks, and some people will think they're kooks for doing it. I sure do, but it's going to exist. And so what I say is, to people who are in leadership in skateboarding, there's no rule here. There's no rule. There's no certitude available to you. You've got to live your life and pick the gates that you want to keep. I have a very strict gatekeeping saying that Luke Coffey said one time. I'm certain that nothing is original, but he said, "Everybody only." And when it comes to riding skateboards, that's my gatekeeping standard. Everybody only. Anybody who is going to firmly, strongly, coercively, even violently assert that it's not everybody only, but the opposite thing, only the acceptable by this gatekeeping rubric here. Those people, I am opposed to that position. I live that opposition with as much gentleness and civility as I can, but those are not good faith actors in our communal enjoyment of skateboarding. They are the reducers of fun. They are the reducers of industry. They are the reducers of diversity, and they should be known as such. Now, listening to me talk, you might be thinking I'm talking about this group, that guy, this thing, that thing, and I want to assure you that I am. If the shoe fits, just wear it, or at least leave the pair on their steps and walk away from them. Don't let those shoes fit you. So I want to affirm that I'm a gatekeeper, and I'm telling you that not everyone who is doing the gatekeeping is worth your confidence. They're not worth your trust. What I mean is their performance of leadership is not worth your trust. Perhaps their character is also not worth your trust, but I don't think anyone should have to do any takedowns or any leave a bunch of groups. Or I can't stand when someone leaves a group and they leave a big hoodoo, on the group page trying to leave their juju behind. I'm leaving this group today. Be free from that. Just settle your accounts and make your way through however you want to. But I'm not very interested in grand gestures toward this kind of gatekeeping. It is going to be here for a long time. It is often violently disposed toward free thought and speech. That's problematic for me. And if you're watching this and you're one of those guys and you think there's a real legitimacy problem with all these kooks coming in, I want you to know I don't oppose you as a person, and I love skating with you. In fact, you can call me out on social media, say terrible things about me, and if I see you at the session, I'm gonna fist bump you when you do something that was cool. This isn't an airport. No need to announce your departure. Chimes in Trisha Patton Gurley, who is one of my favorites ever. I want you to know if you're a gatekeeper. Even I've really, really put a crimp in the hose of some of my local gatekeepers, and it's been spicy over here, and it's gotten dicey before. And I want you to know, for those gatekeepers who've truly done me wrong, who have defamed me publicly, who have threatened and menaced me in coffee shops and at skate parks, who've even had to appear in court for those behaviors, I want you to know that I'm not against you, but I do stand against a significant portion of your contribution to skate culture, because your contribution has been tough guy, cool guy, narrow-minded, jockish, and really detrimental to both culture and market and community support through value. What? How could this be controversialized? It has been. So I think the only thing to do is to keep doing it until people get used to it. Hey, skateboarding got older, and it might have gotten wiser. I think it's up to you to judge whether you think it's gotten wiser. I know that I am trying to be a wise person. Bob Lofton writes, I like the idea of a welcoming gatekeeper than rather just a gatekeeper. Well, I really do. A welcoming gatekeeper still carries a pike and a sword and still bars entry to those who are not loyal to the kingdom. And the kingdoms are different. I know that if I go to certain places in certain cities, I'm picking a city in my mind, a city with great barbecue, and it's not Austin, Texas, that I know that my frontside grinding, non-flip tricking, wideboard ways will not be invited to a certain DIY. That is a very fun place to skate, one of the only indoor places to skate in a relatively cold climate. And I'm not so mad about that. Dave Berkland's back. Don't keep the gate, just smoke the gate. Dave's back. Dave is the best kind of troll, one with a good sense of humor. Oh. Now, and I'm not calling out a specific scene. The city I'm describing could be your city, or it could be 10 other cities. I will not be invited or welcomed, and it could even be said to me directly, no, your kind of skating isn't welcome at our kind of indoor park. It's the only indoor park in the city. It's related to the skate shop. It's pressed in with the industry, and that's the way they want to rep their place, by having that kind of gatekeeping. And you know what? That's fine. I will go to a different city, or when I'm at that city, I will skate something else, or I will not skate at all. I will go to the internet cafe and write something. Maybe I'll write something about how darned unfriendly it is of them to do that. Okay, so Brian Zarbar is on here, and he's making a comment, And I'd like to say I may or may not be talking about what he's talking about, but here's the thing about stringent gatekeeping, especially jockish, exclusionary, technical meritocracy-based gatekeeping. It tends to eat its own tail. That's another thing. We'll always have it. There will never be a shortage of people who are fueled by an inferiority complex, who want to create a measure up, come correct culture. We're never going to lack them. And those are, if you're one of those people, I'm telling you right now, get some help. You're unhappy. Your blood is loaded with, what's the name of that hormone that is your stress hormone? I want to say oxytocin, but that's the opposite one. Cortisol. Your blood is loaded with cortisol. You're dragging down your immune system. You need to find freedom and joy and relax, all right? I'm telling you, you might be one of the guys that's even local regional to me who's been like, oh, that guy's the worst, it's cortisol, right? Oh, that guy's I'm telling you, your blood is loaded with cortisol. You're concerned with conserving your fiefdom. You're concerned with conserving your legacy when everything, and starting with you, would be best served by you going, yeah, I guess I've been a jerk for a long time. I'm gonna sweeten up. And you can't just go on Anthony Shetler's podcast and declare that you've sweetened up, right? You have to actually do it. You need to make public apologies for the people you've hurt publicly. You need to make private apologies to the people you've hurt privately and subject yourself to the rigors of restitution. You need to, it's in a way, it's almost like working the steps of recovery. And in a way, I think blood cortisol levels, oh my gosh, Dave Birkland is frying us with a comment here. Let's get it. He says, motorcycles and skateboards, two things full of misfits acting like the very thing they hated. He says, F a social construct, live BTDW. And this is me living BTDW right here. This is me recognizing there's no choice for a healthy Lou Ross other than to speak out and be outspoken. I've accompanied my outspokenness with the best example I can give in behavior, building an independent workshop, backing a movement of independent craft workers who want to provide you with a board. So let's just conclude with that. Quiver up, get something different, find out that the reason the rules don't apply to you is because the rules aren't the rules. When it comes to gatekeeping, I've got love for every single person involved. Let's not deceive ourselves into thinking there need be no gatekeepers. And let's identify, each one of us, those gatekeepers whom we will accept and those gatekeepers whom we will reject. It's very important for you not to be pushed around by illegitimate gatekeepers. But the only person who can decide who's legitimate and illegitimate is you. You are the secret ingredient to your skateboarding life, and you are the secret ingredient to how you are going to live your life. I think this was my best work yet. Thank you, friends. I'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to talk about Bam. I love Bam Margera, and you should too. And we're going to talk about Sanders. So thanks for being with me. I'll be back in a few minutes.